it's very, very odd, because last Monday there was a poll in one of the main newspapers in Spain, and there they were saying that PP together with Vox would have actually obtained an overall majority, which was a position we certainly did not want to find ourselves in. What happened after that is that the PP certainly dropped in terms of the predicted level of support. They have done better than they did last time, certainly over 47 seats, if I remember correctly. And Vox have also dropped from the level of support they had last time, which means that the two parties together cannot now form a government. The question is whether there is anybody else in the Spanish Parliament with sufficient numbers to be able to prop up a PP-Vox government, or indeed to form part of it. That looks extremely unlikely. Other than one of the small nationalist parties that has one seat, there really seems to be nobody else that would be able to, or willing indeed, to form a government with them. Vox has alienated all the nationalist parties in Spain in one way or another. Remember, they said recently in the campaign and in the manifesto that they would outlaw the different nationalist parties that exist. So it makes it very difficult for them. On the other side, the socialists came second, did much better than had been predicted, as did Sumar, the new communist amalgamation of communist and far left parties. And also the different nationalist parties in Spain also did well in their areas, although some of them did drop. But that drop in votes and in seats has gone to the socialists. So it means that potentially, if Feijóo tries to form government first and he is unable to get the numbers, as it looks, there is an opportunity for the PSOE, for Pedro Sanchez, to be able to try and form government himself with the support certainly of Sumar and with some of the other nationalist parties in Spain.
This is interesting to us, of course, because we've got that deal that the government said we were so close to reaching before they called an election. And of course, we all know that Vox not sympathetic to Gibraltar. So what was your reaction when you heard the news last night? As you say, the polls were telling us something else, but there hadn't been a poll for a week, and there was speculation that PSOE was closing the gap.
Well, and there were events also that happened during that week. I mean, there was a debate on Wednesday, I think it was, between the four party leaders, and Feijóo decided not to attend. I mean, that may have cost him and may have cost his party some votes, so only 3 in that particular discussion. But also from a Gibraltar perspective, I think it's particularly interesting that the kingmakers are now predicted to be one of the Catalan nationalist parties, Junts per Catalunya, that in the manifesto they set out very clearly that they would aim to convince a future Spanish government to recognize the wishes of the people of Gibraltar and to work together with the government of Gibraltar as a way forward. And these may be the kingmakers if it comes to allowing Pedro Sanchez to govern, and if it comes to making him prime minister. So we need to wait and see what happens. There's still a huge amount of variables and many balls in the air. We need to see how they land.
Well, you say we have to wait and see what happens. That's obviously the key phrase, because it's going to take a while, isn't it? What happens in the interim in terms of measures, the frontier, being able to use the red ID card?
Well, what we have from the government of Spain is a commitment that while negotiations are ongoing, they would unilaterally continue with the bridging measures, particularly this one. As you know, other bridging measures have now dropped, but this one has continued. We will need, again, to use a well-worn phrase, wait and see how things develop going forward. We have no indications of any change at this moment as I speak. But in terms of the procedure, I mean, on the 17th of August, the Spanish Parliament meets in Madrid. There would need to be negotiations between the different parties for the investiture of a prime minister. In Spain, it starts with a vote of no confidence, so you need to have the confidence of the parliament in order to be able to govern. That means we need to see whether Feijóo actually goes forward with this, or whether in fact it's Pedro Sanchez who decides to do that. But in the event that no government can be formed in Spain by September, then there would need to be a new general election, which would take place by December. So it's still possibly, it may open the door to a PP-Vox government in the future, but certainly at the moment, that seems very unlikely.